Tony Comperchio. He's the founder and CEO of the Professional Golf Planners of America. Tony, we welcome you to the Oakland County MegaCast, and I have to say, I have been a part of so many of these golf charity events. This is awesome what you guys do. So for those not familiar, give us the background.
Sure. Good morning, and thank you for having me today. Appreciate the opportunity. So Professional Golf Planners of America is a Michigan-based golf company that primarily specializes in customized golf outings for charities, businesses, and private clients.
And with that, what has it been like this year in the pandemic? Because I would imagine a lot of things have been canceled. However, golf was one of the first things to reopen.
Yeah, but because of the scare of COVID, obviously, we had many events postponed until 2021 with the intentions and hopes that some of the restrictions imposed this year be lifted. Revenue for us is down 60%, as you can imagine. I'm sure it's hurt a lot of businesses in Michigan and throughout the entire country.
Tony Comperchio with us. He is the founder and CEO of the Professional Golf Planners of America, joining us on the Oakland County MegaCast this morning on our family of TV and radio stations, and also on the Facebook page of my co-host Ronnie Dole here today as well. So for those that maybe are not familiar with what a professional golf planner does, could you give us a little bit of insight on that and how that makes a difference in planning some of these large golf outings, especially in times like today where there's a lot more variables at play?
Absolutely, appreciate it. So obviously, I'm a certified golf tournament consultant. Believe it or not, there is a national organization that we're members of. We have several members of our team that are certified golf tournament planners. And so there's an credibility that gets put into this variable. And part of that is we allow our clients to save as much as 70% of their time that they spend on their outings just by bringing us aboard, not to mention the additional benefits of hiring a subcontractor for, say, some of our charity organizations where we're a tax write-off. So one, there's a savings on their staff hours, and two, there's the tax benefits of hiring a professional. So each client is different and unique. The way that we structure our company is that one client might want event day registration support. Another client might want golf ball launch cannons, which is a different and a unique kind of a fun aspect to a golf outing. And then there might even be some opportunities where they need help with golfers and sponsors. So really, it's an a la carte kind of a situation. No two golf outings are the same. We've had golf outings where we've actually had speed painters, DJs. So it really depends on the tone of the event and what the client is looking for.
And Tony, so many of these groups, especially nonprofit groups, are relying on these golf outings to help them fundraise and help them with their mission in whichever organization that they are trying to promote. Give us a rundown on actually how it works. How much money can they make off of some of these golf outings?
So obviously this year is an anomaly, right? Typically first year events, depending on the services offered and cost, golf course location, all of those variables get put into the decision-making process. So we established a subcommittee, if you will, a cross-referencing of clients and our staff, and we begin to mold what their event's going to look like. So as a referencing point, first year event, 5 to 10,000 is realistic, depending again on the golf course. Obviously, the charges that the fees for the golfers and sponsors have a direct impact on the kind of we call it event net revenue goal that they can expect to receive at the end of the event.
Founder and CEO of the Professional Golf Planners of America. Tony, I would imagine that you're an avid golfer. That's how you even got into this?
You would think. I started this is our fourth year in business. And prior to starting this, I used to play 50, 60 times a year in Michigan. Unfortunately, the commitment to the business, I typically play about 5 to 6 times a year, and most of it's outside of the state during the off season. So as you can imagine, with a seasonal business, you have to do what you can to meet the needs of your clients.
that's really interesting that you say that you play outside of Michigan. So I will say, going forward, so we seem to have made it through the first phase of this, and obviously we are going into the end of the golf season. However, it is still nice enough out for people to be able to play. What is the best time for someone to try to come up with some of these golf outings? If I have a nonprofit and I want to do one of these, what's the best time? Because I will say sometimes in the middle of the summer, we are getting so many invites for so many charities. How do you pick and choose, and what's that competition like?
Typically for us, we tell our clients it takes 4 to 6 months to pull off a successful outing. Now, our outings are unique in terms of the amount of effort and planning that goes into it. We also transform the day of the event. We have a bunch of banners and signs and archways. It's really creating that ambiance, that special feeling for the golfers and the sponsors that come out. We encourage our sponsors to set up tables and tents and chairs and distribute their wares to the event participants. So with that in mind, 4 to 6 months is usually the norm. The golf course is the key because depending on which golf course you're selecting, some of them book up at least a year in advance. So as a point of reference, we have our next outing, which is Monday, October 5th at Cracklewood, which is in Shelby Township, and that is for the breast cancer awareness. And so that event we started back in March. So as you can see, we have a title sponsor, which also helps the event, right? That is kind of the driving force. So Hut Pink De-Icer is our title sponsor for this event. And proud to say this year we've decided to donate the proceeds from this event to Shades of Pink, which is another Michigan-based nonprofit that specializes in breast cancer.
And obviously October is Breast Cancer Awareness month. So we appreciate that you're doing all of that. Tell us a little bit more about the event. Are there still openings, and what if people can't actually play? Can they donate in some different way?
Absolutely. So we create another one of those unique services, an event registration page. And if you don't mind, it's progolfplanners.com/breast cancer. And so that'll take you to the event registration page. So for non-golfers, people that aren't interested in just coming for dinner, because that's an option as well, you can donate directly to the charity on that registration page. And registration for that particular event is open until Friday for the sponsors and Saturday of this week for potential golfers.
Tony Comperchio with us. He is the founder and CEO of the Professional Golf Planners of America, joining us today on the Oakland County MegaCast. So in the times that we're in, Tony, people are obviously still golfing. Our golf courses were one of the first organizations and businesses to have reopened during the course of the pandemic. How are you and your team and these organizations that you're planning these outings for modifying their planning to incorporate COVID-19 and the guidelines and safety precautions that have to be in place into those plans?
That's a great question. Obviously, we've developed as a company a COVID preparedness plan following the strict guidelines of CDC. So what that means and how that correlates to a golf outing, not only do we deploy the social distancing markers on the ground through the registration tent, so we're cognizant of the distancing part. Each of our events this year, we've given in the golfer gift bags a mask and personal hand sanitizers. In addition to that, some of our stations that we have, our golf ball launch cannon, for example, where we'll set up a tent table, play it forward, hole in one. We also deploy not only our value statement with COVID, it's also the recommendations from the NGCOA, which is National Golf Course Owners Association. It has basically a placard that kind of explains the need to distance. We also have the hand sanitizers in those stations as well. So even your typical golf outing this year, due to COVID and the guidelines, we've had to alter our plans to accommodate them.
So Tony, so many nonprofits have actually turned to doing these golf outings as a fundraising measure. What would you want them to know as to why they should hire you and it's beneficial for them to do so versus trying to do the event themselves and maybe working directly with the golf course?
So the efficiency part of it is obviously attractive. As I mentioned earlier, reducing our clients' time by 70% and allowing them to focus on maybe other activities within their organization. In addition, I think you look at the tax benefits of hiring a contractor. And then we also, with some of the relationships we have with golf courses, we have preferred pricing models. So we, in turn, it's a pass-through pricing to our clients. So those are the three major factors in addition to the transformation of the golf course. I mean, it is not a typical golf outing when you show up at a PGPA event.
That is so true. We live on the West Bloomfield Trail across from Pine Lake Country Club, and we can tell when they have one of these outings. We like them because we find a ton of golf balls because there are some really, really bad golfers out there, right?
Just because they play golf doesn't mean they're good at it. But, that's one of the things that makes the sport so exciting and fun, right? I mean, you can play with all different handicaps if you're competitive. So you can take a 12 handicapper and play with a scratch golfer and kind of put them at level playing field. In addition, you want to talk about business networking opportunities. You get into foursome with some of your clients, you've got the captive audience for at least 5.5 hours. So, that's a unique aspect too. Whereas if you're in the office, you jump on the phone, how likely are you going to be on the phone with that particular potential client or client for 5.5 hours? Not very.
But I feel like that puts pressure on people that aren't golfers to be able to go out and learn the game of golf. Do you recommend that for some of your clients that are putting on these golf outings?
I'm pro golf, so as much as you can learn about the game, go for it. But it all depends on the
I'm
format.
pro putt-putt, by the way. You need to come up with this with putt-putt golf, then I'm in.
Well, we're talking about a lot of different and unique things that we're going to be launching here in the very near future. But getting back to the question with respect to golf, depending on the format of your event, so for example, next Monday we have it's a shotgun scramble format, which means you basically have 4 shots and you take the best of 4 shots. So it takes the pressure off of a non-golfer. And it might even be in a case like for yourself, you get on the green, there's 4 putts. So if you can envision tee shot, there's 4 shots, the approach shot, there's 4 shots. On the green, say if you're fortunate enough to be on the green in regulation, and maybe making a birdie putt, there's your opportunity there to contribute to the team.
Tony Comperchio with us. He is the founder and the CEO of the Professional Golf Planners of America, joining us on the Oakland County Megacast. Tony, just a few more minutes with you before we will have to let you go today. Is there anything else that would be important for our audience to know about what your organization does, or any other information that we haven't discussed so far today that you want to speak about?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, we're launching a couple of new initiatives later this fall, early spring. Golf course staffing for us is going to be a big component to that, where golf courses are actually in need of help. You talk about the implications of COVID and how that impacts your staffing. We have a solution to that. So we're in negotiations with several golf courses to provide that support to them. In addition to some of the other initiatives, expansion for us is very important. We're looking to grow outside of the state of Michigan, and we've got several states in mind as we navigate our way through the rest of this year.
Tony, I love that you're doing this because so many nonprofits really are turning to different and various avenues to be able to raise money for their organizations and the great work that they do. I do want to say, just as someone who loves golf, for those of us that are more putt-putt style golfers, what advice would you give us, or is there a YouTube page or something that you could give us to be able to first update our lingo so we don't sound like idiots? Because when you're talking about scratch and handicap, and I'm like, yeah, I'm just going out there to shoot the first couple things and then I'm going to be the shot girl. Not that I've done that. I maybe have done that, Tyler. I'm not a good golfer. And I will say my husband is a diehard golfer, and he tries to get me out there, but I don't want to play with him because he takes it too seriously. I want to go and I want to have fun. And I think there are a lot of people like me who don't take part in these events because they're intimidated. So for people like me, or for people that are intimidated by the game of golf, and if it's a scramble situation, which you're saying is much more friendly, what advice would you give to them prior to participating in an event?
So obviously lessons are important. The more you can actually hit the ball, practice, go to the driving range. Most golf courses have golf pros that give lessons. that might be a good opportunity and a good way to kind of test the waters, so to speak, to see if you really do enjoy the game. In a case for yourself, I would take advantage of your husband's offer and get out there and play. There's courses in certain times of the day that you can play where there's not the pressure of somebody hitting up behind you or needing to rush through the golf round. So those can be stressful, but I think there's enough opportunities there to start the practicing part of it so that when you do get out in a scramble format or in an outing, you shouldn't have anything to be concerned with.
Yeah,
And
but
most,
there's the
let's be
pressure
honest,
of my husband. So no pressure of the guy behind me, but there's the pressure of my husband. Hey, Tony, quickly though, for people who maybe want to participate in one of these, but maybe they don't have golf clubs, that can be an very expensive endeavor to dip into. Can you rent golf clubs and the equipment that you need?
That's in addition to one of the services that we offer. Most golf courses that we do team up with to put on our outings do have the ability to where you can have club rentals. I would suggest, though, you don't wait to the day of. That'd be something you could work through with us, whether it's a righty or lefty, stiff shaft or flex shaft. Get into those technical golf terms that you seem to be concerned with. But all those discussions need to happen in advance if you're looking to rent, because you might be able to rent a set of clubs for $50, or as opposed to buying a set of clubs where if you get your fairway woods, your driver, and your irons, could be a couple thousand.
I'm just laughing because when you're talking about all the different clubs, for so many people who don't golf, it's so intimidating. You're like, yeah. I'm always like, which one should I hit? Okay, I'll hit this one. So just go ahead and play with someone. Typically, in a lot of these golf outings, though, just to wrap this up, is that they're out there for people to have fun because they want you to support their organization. It's not about what you do on the green or how far you can hit or this, that, and the other. It's just really about going out there, having a good time, and being a part of an organization that you do support.
One of the main reasons why in my business model that I decided to venture out and do this for a living is exactly that. I've never had a golf outing where people would leave, majority of people would leave the day and be disappointed. It is such a feel-good experience. Yes, there can be some stress involved with respect to maybe not being comfortable with your game, but once you get out on the course with your foursome, and usually you'll know the people you're golfing with, it is a blast.
Tony, thank you so much for being with us and sharing your insight and all the great things that you guys are doing over there. By the way, the inaugural breast cancer charity golf outing is going to be taking place. Cracklewood Golf Club, that's in Macomb. It's benefiting the Shades of Pink Foundation. And registration begins at 9. People can go ahead. How much are tickets, Tony, real quickly before we let you go?
So golfers are around $150, and that includes the full spectrum of the day. So open driving range, there'll be some pastries, coffees, juices, lunch at the turn, dinner and award ceremony. We're blessed to have Dr. Benita is going to be there as our special guest speaker. She's a co-founder of Shades of Pink. Obviously, Troy and Linda Clogg, which are the owners of the Hot Pink De-Icer Company, are going to be there as our title sponsor. So it should be for a pretty amazing and remarkable day. And as I had mentioned, registration's still open. Visit progolfplanners.com/breast cancer.
Thank you so much. So many people out there in the community have been impacted by the breast cancer disease. And so we appreciate your time and everything that you're doing to try to help get the word out, but also to raise money and awareness for this great event. And I will say, Tony, when you guys do one on a putt-putt course, I'm your girl. I'll be there.
There you go. I'll write that down. Appreciate your time today. Thank you for the opportunity.